And we're going to continue on with the section on Parshat Noach. We are in that section on Noach, the second part of the first volume, page 34, Bereshit chapter 7, verse 15, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Tevav. So page 34 in the Noach section. You have to go to the second blue section and turn to page 34, and we're in the middle of that first page. And Vayavo el Noach el Teva, and they arrived with the Mercha, being motivated by the vivacity of traffic, various species. They were merging into the ark. People and animals alike were following in the same direction, and they arrived to find safety as well as indicated by the directional shape of the related reading mark. So the animals are now all coming to the ark. The water is starting to fall, and the water is changing from just a plain rain into a very dangerous and unnatural event where it just seems that rain shouldn't be doing that. And the animals are arriving in an orderly fashion and in a way that they are recognizing the safety, because the Mercha is leading into the next word, El Noach, with a tipcha. This is something that's going to collect the thought from the previous word. They appealed to Noach to accept them and save their lives, as denoted by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. The tipcha is telling us that these animals are coming not to the ark, but they're coming to Noach. So because they're coming to Noach, because the closing thought is they're coming to Noach, Noach has to actually give them permission to enter into the ark. So this is something new that's gleaned by this Mercha Tipcha concept. This is not something that you will find really in any of the other Mefarshim. The animals have to ask Noach their permission. I'm not yet a competent Zohar scholar, but as far as I know, this is a newer thought. El HaTeva, to the box, with an etnachta. Etnachta, we'll remember, is a stabilizing concept associated with it. They asked for his permission to enter to the box and get a chance to share the goal with the survivors, as stressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. I mean, certainly anything that has to do with the teva is stabilizing, and quite obviously this is an environment in which there's safety. And once they've asked their permission, they get to be in that place of safety and of security.
Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I got a question. So when it says they appealed to Noach, it's the people and the animals?
These are just the animals that we're talking about right here. The other people who entered were Noah's sons and their wives. But as we'll see from the second half,
because I can't imagine.
we'll see
there's a lot of people create. It says the vivacity of traffic of various species merging into people and animals. Well, there aren't a lot of people. But going to the animals part, how can they be trying to get permission? Like, it was God who selected which animals. Isn't that sort of like the end of the list?
And yet they were milling around and were not allowed into the ark until all of a sudden the water is threatening to literally drown them.
Mm-hmm.
So just because they were in the waiting area, they didn't know that they were going to make it onto the ark. Certainly an animal wouldn't have had that awareness. Hopefully the people would have. Mm-hmm. Noach's family and Noach's sons and their wives would have, but the animals certainly wouldn't. And nonetheless, Noach was in complete control, and he had held them out and held them out and held them out.
So these are the animals that were already sort of on the guest list.
Mm-hmm.
They just, okay.
Sure.
They're not in addition to.
No.
Because in addition to what now made up there.
That was what I thought. That's why. So these are the ones that, okay.
Perhaps that's why they were chosen, because they had an innate sense that even though God had summoned them to go to the ark, they still needed to seek permission from the master of the ark.
Still were making assumptions.
Shnayim with a ma'apach. Well, remember that ma'apach is this note that focuses things from before down into a finer single concept. A couple, Shnayim, although they presented themselves to Noach as a couple, they were for the most part of a different genetic derivation or of the same sexual denomination as shown by the shape of the reading mark. So at this point we have an interesting thought that's being introduced here, that they're crowding in, and the fact that there's two of them doesn't mean that it's an appropriate two. So it's two, it's not necessarily a pair, is the first Shnayim that we're going to read. And they focus together, and we get again the word Shnayim, a pair, number 5, with 2 pashtas on the top. So sometimes we'll have notes that, because of the way the syllable is accented, we'll have more than one appearance of the note on top of the word. So we see this is not pronounced, this one in particular is not pronounced any differently. However, there are, by Masorah, 2 pashtas on this word. And we'll see that, number 5, a pair. So notice he's taking the same word, Shnayim, that we had before, and he's defining it differently. The first time we have it as defined as a couple, and that's why the note is focusing the two together. And then we get a pair with 2 of the same notes, and here's what we say. To Noach, they tried to appear as a pair of the same sex to be accepted, as suggested by the double homogeneous shape of the directional reading mark. Because there are 2 pashtas, 2 of the same note, he's saying that the pair, the 2 that came together, would have been homogeneous in one way. They would have been same sex when they presented to Noah to try to get into the ark. Because we've got 2 of exactly the same notes, why would we have that if we don't have 2 of exactly the same thing? So again, an interesting concept that I don't think anybody else presents anywhere else.
I'm missing something. So you're saying the animals tried to present as a homogeneous couple because they were of the sense that in the world in which they existed, that was the norm and how they had to be? Because the whole argument before is that God selected those that followed the originally intended natural order, which was male and female, without distorting their sexuality and their drives.
So they're presenting to Noah now in desperation. Save what I am. And that's why they came homogeneously, because save a male tiger, as opposed to save tigers.
Okay.
So again, because of this double pashta, we see the idea that that's what they're trying to present to Noah. Again, a concept that nobody else I think derives here in any way. Mikol basar, from all flesh, number 6, with a katon. So remember, the katon is the two dots that are on top of the siyum there. This type of distorted association was formed by various kinds, originating from all the flesh of creatures, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So the thing that's doubled here, and again that's what we have to look at, is the fact that there was a way that they should have been and a way that they presented themselves. So we have again an upward, a lower, a better, and a worse, and they're presenting with that to Noah. And we have here, in a side note, look at back pasuk number 9, which is on page 27, when we have those two words again, shnayim, shnayim, appearing, but that's with a kadma and a nazla. We'll notice here that he defines both words as a pair and a pair. So we don't have this couple concept, we have a pair and a pair, and this is something where you'll notice that we're on page 27, number 1. The rescue campaign was proceeding on schedule according to the order of God in a way of formed units of each species consisting of a pair of homogeneous animals, heterosexual in nature, as indicated by the shape. Because the first shnayim is connecting to the second shnayim, whereas in our pasuk, the shnayim is narrowing down and then getting to the second shnayim. So the couple that presented is not the pair in our sentence. Whereas because the two are so much more intimately completing each other with the kadma and azla, those are a natural heterosexual pair that has the function that they were derived in nature for.
Okay. I guess what I'm scratching my head is, so earlier we said
that this is the flaw, this is the sin, and yet they're coming to Noah because they don't know what the order of things is going to be after the flood, after the ark. So they present with their own unique characteristics and say, at least save this. And again, don't forget that we're in the Sefer, we're in the second half of the pasuk where they're more lower, they're more earthly, they're more base form. So again, that sort of fits with what's being presented to Noah. Asher bo, that in it with a tipcha. This is something that rolls in the concept of the thing that has come before it. Those combined couples did not arrive with any regret, but out of fear to protect their body and life, that in it, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So we see that this is folding back into the concept of they're coming to Noah as they are, with their idea, which might be still distorted or wrong. Nonetheless, they're coming to him, and they are coming out of personal, out of self-interest, to the point that, as I said before, it's not save the tigers, it's save the concept of what a male tiger is. Ruach, a breath, with a mercha. This is something that is going to fold forward into the thing that's going to go next from it. Their greatest concern was to be able to catch a breath of air and avoid suffocation by the increasing waters, as expressed by the directional shape of the reading mark. The animals now are being driven by desperation, and they want to move forward. They want to go ahead, and that's why we have this backwards-looking thing that in it, as they're coming in, they're thinking about the way that they're going to go in, but what's driving them forward is ruach. They want to be able to survive to get that next breath of air. Chayim, of living, with a sof pasuk. This is a stabilizing note. They were willing to accept any condition of living only to escape a sure death. So we see here the desperate last-minute panic that presents them and makes them selfish, if you will, to the point that they don't necessarily espouse any regret over things that had happened in the past. Nonetheless, they're there literally to escape sure death. Vehabaim, and I guess we'll say the pasuk out loud. We'll sing the pasuk. Vayavo el Noach el hateva shenayim mikol habasar asher bo ruach chayim. And we continue on. We're on page 35. Vehabaim, and the coming. We're on pasuk Tetzayin, number 16, with the Rivi'i. A Rivi'i is a note that stands by itself. It emphasizes the word, it separates it from the things that are around it, although it may have precursor words. In this case, it does not. Those who qualified for Noach's approval, even they were among the late arrivers, and the coming was at the end. They managed to be admitted to the ark, as pointed out by the broad meaning of the reading mark. So even those animals who came late, still they maintained their place and their status in the ark. It didn't matter that they came late; they were spared. So
The Jewish animals.
Agreed. Jewish time did not matter here, apparently. If you were worth it, you were worth it. So that's it. Those who came had an intrinsic value in them, and that stood out. The fact that they came, rather than the timing. Even if they were the late ones, the ones as the water was becoming overwhelming, doesn't matter. If they were promised a place, they got a place. Zachar, with a pashta, a male, number 2. According to the general rule, a male approached first as the responsible one of its kind, as indicated by the directional shape of the reading mark. A pashta is a note that looks forward and leads into something else. So both contextually from the fact that the word zachar is coming in front of nekeva, and because the pashta leads into the thing that comes after it, and it stands out alone. It's a little bit of an emphasis on that word. We see that the doctor is deriving the fact that the male is approaching first, and that it's got responsibility to what's coming after it. Unekeva, and a female. A mahapach takes the concept that was before and sharpens and focuses it into what's going to be the thing that remains, as we can see by the very angular shape of the mahapach. And a female. A male usually led, and a female that corresponded with him by the genus followed, as denoted by the shape of the reading mark. So the male is pointing the way, the female is collecting and gathering that male and allowing him to continue. So very consistent. We've talked before about the Kabbalistic concept of male and female. Male is scattered ideas pointing towards all directions. Here there's only one direction to go, so the male he's going. Not necessarily knowing what he's going to maintain. The female is taking that male who has gone ahead and cleared a path, following him, focusing his energy into something that will be useful in the future. So, again, incredibly consistent when you look at the way that these concepts are presented and the way that the notes bind them together. Nikol Basar.
Consistent with human nature.
Consistent with,
And they know
with human
physiology
nature. And again, I'll emphasize
Yeah.
for those people who haven't listened to previous talks that there is a concept of what a pure male idea is and what a pure female idea is, and we understand that no human being is 100% pure male energy and or 100% pure female energy. These are concepts that we have a mix of. So it's not to say that every man is going to lead every woman, or every woman is going to be a nurturer. It doesn't necessarily flow, but there is a natural advantage and tendency towards those things. And being a leader is not always productive, and being a nurturer also, you could nurture something that's wrong, so it's also not always productive, but it is more likely to be productive. And we continue on. Mikol basar, from all flesh, number 4. Again, another pashta, so this is something that's going to slightly emphasize the word and look forward to what's coming after it. Number 4, when they complied with the principles of the standard criterion, they were approved for admission to the ark from all flesh, which was waiting in vain, as stressed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So here we take the idea of Mikol Basar, which previously we had been defining as of the animals of the group that's been selected, and now we've got it presented differently. These are the animals that are selected from all those other animals of their type that are not being selected. So because they're being emphasized with this pashta, and they are what is leading forward, we're saying that this is the animals that were accepted to the ark, to exclude those of their species who were not accepted to the ark. Number 5, ba'u, they came with a katon. Well, remember that a katon is that 2-part note that's on top of the bait. Might be a little difficult to see in the print version that I've got, but it is in fact those 2 dots that are on top of the bait. Number 5, even though the approved couples caused some disorganization because they came at the last minute, their request was accepted, as shown by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So the timing, and again from the word haba'im at the beginning, we see those latecomers. The fact that they came is what stands out about them, not their timing. And we see that it doesn't matter whether you came early or late, the 2-part idea of the mark here. If you were supposed to come and you came, then your right was recognized, and you gained entrance to the ark.
Is there any havamim that they weren't? In other words, does it have mean that you're supposed to come but didn't? Like, is there...
The question becomes, how much danger do you need to convince you that it's time to get on the boat? Do you have to just have the ramp there, or do you have to have them blow the horn, or do you have to have somebody say last call, or do you have to wait until they're starting to pull the ramp away from the dock and you have to jump? Nonetheless, because all of these animals had the designation both from God and from Noah that they were going to come, that's what was important, and didn't matter about their lateness, didn't matter even possibly about their intention. If they were chosen to come, they were to come. Ka'asher, like that, with a tivir. Tivir is that note that has the mercha on the outside and the dot that's sheltered within it. So we're going to see something that's sheltered. The proceedings and the results were smooth when candidates complied within the framework of the rules. Like that, Noach was instructed to obey, as suggested by the shape of the reading mark. When you were within the rules that were set, i.e. you were an animal that was selected or a person that was selected, you gained protection and shelter.
Those 2 points out to Tavir, it's like you see it visually in the note itself.
Mm-hmm.
The dot in the center, the protection of the
Tziva had ordered, mercha, This is something that is going to lead into the word that's going to go in front, that's going to go after it, and gently folds in the concept of what has come before. God had ordered Noach to base his decisions for admission to the ark on simple external signs, which would be significant for their moral status, as expressed by the directional shape of the reading mark. The notes, Mercha and Tibcha, are perhaps the simplest of the notes. So we're reading into here that Noach had to have a simple and easy way to identify that this was the right anteater to let into the ark. And it would obviously have to be something that was external, because he certainly did not have time to do anything more than the simplest of checking. The question is how we derive the fact that this is their moral status. And we can derive that from the fact that this is what God had ordered Noah to do. So because it's coming from on high, and we're going to see that Siva Oto and the stabilizing fact is Elohim, that because that's the way that God had arranged it, it must not be because this is the strongest elephant or the elephant with the greatest longevity. It's because Siva. It's because this is the one that was ordered. So again, when we're reading in the text here, and you see something like that pops out at you, where did he get that from? It's very important to ask the question, where words like that come from. The fact that he's saying moral status, you have to truly think for the depth that he's trying to reach here. And we're getting that both from the word tziva, that it's ordered, and from the fact that the phrase is concluded by Elohim. So you have to think what would be the most important characteristic that God would look for. And despite the fact that, as we said in the previous pasuk, they came two males together, or in a disorganized fashion, nonetheless they had the status of Tziva Oto Elohim. These are the ones that God had chosen. And when we get this first rush of the animals onto the ark, and then we see Noach's supervision in the next pasuk. So the previous pasuk was the rush of the animals, and now we're seeing the way that Noach is supervising and allowing and admitting. So even though they might have come in desperation, his management is following the rules. And that ultimately is what gains them admission to the ark. So the counterpoint of the one pasuk against the other, very, very telling by the way that we're interpreting it with the notes. Oto, with him, number 8. Thus Noach operated with a simplified testing device, which was readily accorded with him to reach a proper decision, like the choice of edible fish, birds, and animals, as signified by the closing shape of the reading mark. So this tipcha is going to close off the thought of tziva. Noach had the idea of how he could determine which was that proper member of the species to come in, and he would apply that based on what was given to him, what was given to Noah. So that's why the Oto is very important here. Again, we see something here that stands out and makes us ask the question. Why are we talking about edible fish? No fish on the ark. So I think I'm going to come. I'm going to come back to this at the very end. I think we'll come back to that thought. But the idea of birds and animals, easy to define. But when you get a word that stands out, you have to really think what's going on. And as I said, we'll come back to it. Elohim, God above, with the stabilizing at
So
naftah.
where's he getting that from?
As I said, we're going to come back to it because I want to get out a Sefer Vayikra and try and find the sentence there to balance. Elohim, God above, number 9. The unexceptional behavior of the corrupt species with God above had observed all over